What is going on, Rotogrinders? Dean here. It's Dean 7904 if you want to get all technical. I mean, it's 5:30 on the dot on the East Coast. I'm back from vacation, 2:30 on the West Coast, 4:30 Tennessee time. Of course, it's time for the flagship show here at Rotogrinders. It is called Grinderslive. Joining me today, coming off I don't know if it's did we even get excited, Andre, when we win? What'd you win? 30K last night in baseball, which is nice. It's not six figures necessarily, which you certainly partake in those as well. Yeah, you've been on fire. It seems like you've been on fire all the time. Every other day, I'm seeing you tweeting something out about you took a seat down. Did you take it from Squirrel? Was that what happened the other day?
Oh, at the seat? No, the Squirrel took it from me last night, actually.
Oh, well, what a
shout out to
jerk.
him for that. He's been on a more of a bigger tear than I have, but yeah, I got to see. I took a seat down over the weekend when I was at the DraftKings Live final. Was actually kind of happy about that since I did horrible during that event. But it was my first one. Learned a lot, and going to be back there next year and look forward to it. So now I'm here for really focus on baseball and try to continue making some money and end May off right and start June off excellent.
I love the confidence that you're just like, yeah, I'm going to be back there next year. Like, it's going to happen, like, for sure. It's just a matter of not if I'm going to be there or not, or how many tickets I'm going to have. That's more the question. It's up in the air.
You got to speak those things into fruition, into the universe, and it happens.
How was it in Charlotte? Is that what that live event was?
Yes, it was. It was great. My my situation though was just a little crazy because I ended up missing my flight and got there late. But everything I experienced though was great, phenomenal. DraftKings it's a wonderful company. It was a wonderful host to all of us. And I look forward to attending more events and hopefully, like I said, getting back there. 2 other ones too.
Did they have any random people, like celebrities, athletes that kind of represent, or anybody that was there by chance?
No, not really, because I think because it was the first event, live final event since COVID. So I think they were just more worried about just trying to, get people used to coming to the events and feeling safe and feeling comfortable, which they did a fantastic job with that. And again, I want to credit them for that and, spending all the money they did for the COVID tests and just making sure everyone was safe at all times. And it was great overall.
I realize what I'm doing. I'm just asking you questions, and I'm curious, but I think I'm just delaying talking about the slate. I think that's what's going on here, because welcome back from vacation. Here's an absolute trash slate. I'm going to play it, and you're going to play it. We will talk about a pre-show. It's like this slate's not great. It is different. You mentioned DraftKings, different on FanDuel, where they kicked the 7:00 game is off the board. That is a second half of a doubleheader, meaning it's only a 7-inning game. That doesn't matter so much when it comes to pitchers. That certainly matters when it comes to hitters. But yeah, the Cincinnati-Washington game is not a thing on FanDuel. So FanDuel just has a 5-game slate, 6-game slate on DK. How are you? The other pitchers aren't great either. So, and Steven Strasburg's not a fun conversation as well, which we'll talk about. You got to roster 2 pitchers, of course, on DK. But yeah, let me ask this out of curiosity. We'll get the bats obviously soon enough, but will you roster, or do you think you plan on rostering? I know you're running a bunch of lineups. I assume you're running out a bunch tonight. You tell me otherwise. When you see a 7-inning game, would you roster players, hitters in a 7-inning game?
Yeah, because you can still put up a high score. It's very possible. Anything is possible. So I'll still play some of the hitters from their game, but I probably won't get a lot of exposure to that. I can see myself going more towards the later games just by looking at the slate and looking at the other games that I am more interested in and love some of the bats in, honestly.
I mean, it's not like you're even getting a discount. I'm looking at the prices right now. And again, this game's only on DK, and we'll talk pitchers first in a second. Turner's 6.2K, Soto's 5.9K. If Washington wins this game like 4-2, they're only getting 6 innings worth of at bats. Basically, all your players are getting pinch hit for in the 7th inning or the 8th inning, depending on how that works out. You lose like at least 1 at bat, depending on. And we were even talking about Winker before the show, and he's 5.5K versus at least a name in Steven Strasburg. And like, nobody's going to roster that. And we were talking about like, how do you get different on this slate? Because there's nothing that's great, but there's still stuff that's like distinctly better. But it's also baseball, and goofy things are going to happen. And I know you're willing to embrace the goofy things happening, especially in baseball. So yeah, did you have a general approach as far as this slate? And again, it's different on FanDuel than it is on DK, but there's just not a lot to love.
Yeah, there's not lots of love. Like one thing that I try to do with all slates, especially with baseball more so now, is um I eliminate obviously some hitters I don't like, but I don't care about the price of the hitter. It doesn't matter as long as I feel like they are in a good matchup and the pitcher is not that great. I'm gonna roster them and put them on my team and hope for the best because it doesn't matter at that point. You could be the worst guy on the team, as you mentioned before in pre-air, and still have this and be the best player on the slate that night. So I embrace the variance. That's I guess the best way to express how I do things. I embrace it and I love going sometimes off the board and off the wall and picking just sometimes goofy stacks when I feel like they're deemed necessary.
Some potential weather lurking. Kevin Ross, chief meteorologist, of course, he'll give an update on it later. He gives his most up-to-date update on Crunch Time. He'll be on Crunch Time today, I believe, with Derek Carty and maybe Mr. Tuttle. It's a three-man booth. And Roth will tell you what's going on weather-wise there in Chicago. As of, right now, it's yellow, orange, potential issues. And again, I'm not ready to worry about it just yet. I'm going to assume that game is going to go. Also, it's going to be cold and there's a crosswind. We did lose an Arizona starting pitcher. I don't think anybody was necessarily rostering him. He's been replaced by a dude. Matt Peacock is not throwing baseballs tonight. It's going to be, what is this guy's name? John Duplantier, who's like their 29th ranked prospect in the system. Pretty tall dude. Has not thrown baseballs in the major since 2019. He is somewhat stretched out. He did throw 5 innings last time out for what it's worth, but I imagine this is more or less a glorified bullpen game. Maybe he's like a long man and goes 4 or 5, depending on how things are going. All right. As far as starting pitchers, I think the Strasburg conversation needs to be had. Of course, it's only a DK specific conversation. He's not been good. The velocity is down. The walks are up, but he is getting a positive matchup here. Back half of a doubleheader. It is 7 innings. Who really cares as far as a pitching perspective? And in theory, if he's going really, really well, this is probably not going to happen, but you can always get that CGSO, a cheap CGSO on DK. I don't think he gets there because he probably can't throw more than like 95 baseballs. But velocity down, the walks up, the strikeouts are down, and even the swinging strike rate does not promise anymore. Strikeouts are on layaway. It's at 9% so far this season. The walk rate is way too high, with 16.7% as far as walks. But the Cincinnati lineup is not very good. They're without Castellanos. Of course, Votto's not playing either. There's a person named Max Schrock. He's going to be swinging a piece of wood. Alex Blandino. But I also imagine Strasburg's going to be popular because he's got a big name, and it's all kind of sort of somewhat baked into that price for Strasburg. And you got to roster 2 pitchers, and the names get worse. so go ahead, Strasburg.
Yeah, I think you have to play him or consider playing him today, just because, like you said, the pitching is not great. The slate is not really all that great, and you're playing for as much upside as you possibly can. And Strasburg's not even the most expensive pitcher on the slate today, from a DK perspective. So him being a little bit cheaper than a guy like Dylan Cease, and actually still showing and cheaper than Sonny Gray, I think he's worth the tournament shot for sure. And I think, like I said, Cincinnati, they're gonna have like a little bit of a watered down lineup. But I still love taking chances on both sides of this game too, and going with some of the hitters on the other side too as well. But that coming I think it's been 1 start since his injury that he had. And yeah, he picked 5 innings the last time and had 21 DK points. I think that can get it done on this type of slate. You just gotta hope that he has enough where he doesn't get blown up, which I don't think he will get tonight, but you never know, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, 72 pitches. Typically, assuming things are going normal, you kind of work your way up to 15 pitches more. You kind of add. So maybe if things are going fairly well, he throws like 85 to 90 or so pitches tonight. Mm-hmm. It's concerning that he's not really striking dudes out and he's walking too many people. 4 walks in his first game back, 5 in the one against St. Louis, he went away. And again, the samples are pretty small, but the walk rate is super high this year. I did want to mention before we keep going, I want to say a little chat. What's up, chat? Do subscribe, turn on notifications, fire off some questions. Devin, our fabulous multitasking producer, he's going to go ahead and drop the link. No, he's going to drop the Super Draft link in the chat for you guys. Super Draft, there is a free roll going down tonight. Champion mode on Super Draft, Suns-Lakers game, $1,000 total prize pool, $100 if you guys bank it for first place. Top 200 that finish get paid. and you get 5 entries. You can enter 5 times. And I was looking at this on Super Draft. And I wanted to see. I know I'm just kind of shifting to basketball, and I'm dabbling in some basketball as well on Super Draft. The highest when you factor in the multiplier, which is how that works over there in Super Draft, LeBron is expected to be the highest player at 1.15 as far as his multiple. Booker at 1.25 is second best, and Davis at 1.05. Ayton, Paul, Crowder, Bridges. Do you have a general thought out of curiosity? I'm catching you off guard here on this, but and I like the shirt, by the way, represent, but it's rough.
I can't. We're gonna win the next 2 games, Dean. Don't worry about it. I'll be down there for a good luck charm for them this weekend.
Oh, you're going to the game?
I'm going to the game on Saturday.
Oh, awesome! Enjoy it. Yeah, you have general thoughts. A favorite play. I don't know if you're playing DFS for NBA tonight, but a favorite play in the Phoenix Laker game.
I am playing a little bit tonight. In a Phoenix Laker game, I love Devin Booker. Obviously, the matchup. I think this is going to be a bounce back spot too for Chris Paul as well. So I'm going to be probably to be higher on him. I don't know how the field is going to be nervous about him with that shoulder injuries. And I still love Dennis Schroeder a lot. By the way, to me, he's not getting enough attention in general. I think he's a fantastic play though as well.
All right, back to the slate that I'm doing everything possible to not talk about, apparently. Oh, load up some questions in chat as well, too. Feel free to fire up some questions. Devin's going to compile those. He's going to join the show for the last 15 minutes. Fire, in relation to tonight's baseball slate, ask Andre some broad tournament questions. This dude takes down a lot of tournaments. Seriously, if you have any general GPP questions, can I do this? Should I do that? Not even necessarily for the slate, just like general questions. He'll be happy to answer those. I pulled up the bat here. I know you use the bat as well here. The projections are pretty condensed. Like nobody is projected to score more than 20 fantasy points unless they hit this is DK, of course, obviously. Strasburg at 19. Next is Dylan Cease. Bassett, the Hound at 18. Wood at 16. Flexen, Ohtani, Gray. It's all ugly. It's terrible. I do like Cease more on FanDuel where the price is just much more feasible. He is 9.2K. On DK. Again, we're assuming this game is clean from a weather perspective. We'll talk to Roth. We won't talk to Roth. He'll fire out his article and he'll tell us what's going on in crunch time. Beyond Strasburg, who's your favorite next play if money wasn't a thing? Is it Gray? Is it Cease? Is it the potential upside of Ohtani?
On DK, it's definitely going to probably be Ohtani. Just like you said, just the upside that he has, and if this ownership is right, he's going to be 4% owned on DK. I think that's a little bit too low for what he could bring to the table. So to me, I'm looking to get definitely well overweight on him for sure. I'm having as my SV2 a lot, and maybe even try to go a little bit balance it out with him and Alex Wood. And I know in a little bit of a tougher matchup with the Dodgers, but I know he's been pitching a little bit. He's been pitching pretty good for the past couple games and lately. So that's someone I don't mind taking a shot on for sure.
Yeah, the thing with Ohtani is, of course, he's got walk issues, 17% walk rate in the season. And I mean, that's basically what it's been for Strasburg. But what Ohtani is offering is the upside of Ks, 35% K rate. And if you get on the right side of that, he's also another guy who's not going to throw 100 pitches, almost definitely, but he can strike out 9 or 10 in 5 and change. And I don't know if any pitcher is going to blow the slate up necessarily. And, that Angels lineup just looks so weak when Trout is out. I assume Ohtani's going to be in there, but there's a chance Ohtani doesn't even hit. And you're looking at the Angels without Ohtani and Trout, and it's dreadful. It's it's Walsh and Rendon and just a bunch of dudes. I don't think Chris Flexen's good, but he certainly could eke his way to like 12 points. You mentioned Wood and this Dodger lineup. You think the Dodgers, who wants to pick in the Dodgers, but again, lineup's not out just yet, but it's basically Betts and Turner from the right side, Muncy left on left, and then Will's a good hitter. Will Smith's a good hitter versus lefties, but Lux and Peters and Pujols, it's a big name, but obviously the stick's not really there anymore in the year 2021. And Wood is pretty cheap, and again, he's just kind of gotta survive, and he should survive it, right?
Yeah, he's gotten the K rate of 24.4% to righties this year. So, and if this projected lineup sticks to what it is going to be, there's 1, 2, 3, no, 3 righties in the lineup with the K rate over 20, with the K 28 or higher. And then just in general, as overall, got like 5 of them. So the likelihood of them swinging and miss, I know it's going to be not that great. But I still like him and taking the chance with him because, like you said, there's not many other options, and you never know. He could luck into maybe 7 strikeouts and be all right and be decent, even though he might give up a couple hits or home runs.
Yeah, and also 60% ground balls this year. That's a legit skill. And this Dodger lineup, we really want to speak of the Dodgers, but that lineup is not, it's not what you typically expect. Sonny Gray on DK. What do you think of Sonny Gray? Because I think he's a pretty solid play if money wasn't a thing, and I don't really know how many batters I have to pay up for. So, but I also don't. What is he going to get me? 16, maybe 18 points, which should be okay. I guess there's an outside shot he gets that complete game. Probably not, just 7 innings, but yeah.
I don't know. Like, and this is what's like. I have right now. I have my player pool. I probably want to keep him, but it's like I just don't. I'm like trying to figure out. Like, I get the projection with the bat and why they have him pretty much like as far as in my player pool as like the lowest end pitcher, but the price because and the price with it too. But I don't know. I'm a little indifferent on him. I don't know how much I'm going to get to him. I'd rather obviously get to Strasburg, who's cheaper, and I'd rather even get to Dylan Cease, honestly, who's a little bit cheaper than Sonny Gray. I think the price, I don't even know prices that matter to me a lot, but I think for pitching it does more so. And I don't know if he's worth that price when I could just pay a little bit down for Cease, who's in a much better matchup in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, it was a different slate, but like this morning, Shane Bieber was 10.8K. And Shane Bieber at 10.8K and Sonny Gray 9.7K. Like that's just, it's Bieber's drastically underpriced or Gray is drastically overpriced, or however you want to look at it, but just sort of weird the way they're doing some pricing on DK. And if I don't get Sonny Gray, I'm going to be okay. I think I'll be fine.
It's that's how I look at it too.
Yeah. And if I happen to get a bunch of sticks that are cheap enough where I have the money for Sonny Gray, I'll also play him. But like, I just don't think that's not something I'm seeking when I'm hand building my lineups. If I land on them, whatever, indifference, like you said. Is there anybody else that's worth noting? Ohtani, like you said, a really good tournament play. Bassett.
I think Bassett is another good tournament play too as well. I know Angels have been actually hitting a little bit better recently, but I still think he will, even though, like I said, we don't know if Ohtani's going to be in that lineup, and if he is in the lineup, that's one less hitter you have to worry about, who's pretty much probably their focal point, probably their best hitter in the lineup right now. So I would definitely play some Bassett for sure.
I'm giving a refresh, trying to see if we're getting our lineup. Well, no, Joe Madden, it's a later game, and he's like notorious for giving us our lineups late. So let's see. We got Baltimore, Cedric Mullins leading off, Mancini, Santander, Franco, Galvis, Stewart, Wilkerson, Cisco, McKenna. Some weird names in that lineup there for Baltimore. Trying to see if we have anything else that's kind of goofy. We don't have St. Louis and Arizona just yet. A lot of late games tonight. Seattle just came out. I will give that a refresh in just a second. Is there anything else that we can say here as far as pitchers? Like, I want to run out some names and give more analysis, but like Allard at 4K, I guess you can play him. I guess.
I mean, you can play him, but I'm not even confident he's going to get to 10. So, and I want at least 10 fantasy points for my pitcher, especially on today's slate. So, I can't. He's not. So I consider rostering today, honestly.
Duplantier is in the player pool on DK at 4K, but I don't think I'm not going to roster him. Zimmerman, no chance I roster him. Flexen, again, not excited, but whatever. I guess he can eke his way. Carlos Martinez, like this, it's not happening, man. It's over. I always want him to be so much better, and he definitely shown some flashes, but I'm not rostering Carlos Martinez. They're saying David Price is the possible opener there for the Dodgers. I don't know when he last pitched, but I can't imagine he goes long enough to be worth considering. He did pitch in the 23rd, 1 inning. Well, I guess, it's his longest stint.
I don't think he'll be something you have to consider tonight. I don't think so.
No, and he's 7K. He's not even 4K.
Yeah.
But yeah, give me a summary as far as the arms. There's not a lot going on here.
My summary pretty much would be play as much Dylan Cease as you possibly can, and Shohei Ohtani, I would say too. Chris Bassett takes some GPP shots on. and even Steven Strasburg. That's like pretty much my main guys, just from what I'm getting at. And I like taking some GPP chances on Alex Wood. So I might, depending on how many lineups I'm going to run, I might be at the field, not over the field on Alex Wood. I think he's going to come in a little bit lesser owned than what we have him projected for, because I think people are still going to think of the Dodgers as the Dodgers.
Yeah, we're gonna go around the horn in a second here as far as position by position stuff. Before we do that, we do want to mention Free Crunch Time Friday, presented by Big Brain. Well, we've talked about this enough. Other hosts have talked about this enough, but you guys aren't aware. Big Brain, it's kind of a hybrid of HQ trivia and DFS. If you're very good in a super specific topic, such topics. I don't know if you've seen the topics that are recently in the lobby right now, Andre. Scotch whiskey is a topic. The sound of music. I haven't seen the sound. I know people like it. That's roller people. Bob's Burgers. Like, I've seen Bob's Burgers. It's fine. And MLB Hall of Fame. These are always changing, obviously. And it's you enter the contest as if they're like DFS type. And they have 50-50s or tournaments as well. And have you had a chance to play this yet? I haven't had a chance to play because I'm in the wrong state. Hopefully soon enough, Florida will get its act together. They'll let us play some Big Brain, but it's like those old bar games, like they give you sort of clues as you go along, and you get more points the faster you answer. I don't know, but there you go. Big Brain's going down on Friday. They play it after lock, and again, you can win yourself some cash money if you guys are really, really smart in super, super specific topics, such as the sound of music or Scotch whiskey. There you go. Talk about some hitters. Give me some catchers. That's exciting. It's a fun topic.
Catchers. So catchers today is like, and Grandal is probably going to be at the top of everyone's list to play, just because they're going to that matchup. And Mercedes, pretty much anyone from Chicago White Sox, I'm pretty sure would be on everyone's mind and everyone's list. But after that, after those two guys are going to be played, now that we have like Duplantier, I kind of like going to like St. Louis a little bit more now. I don't know how long he's going to go, but I like Yammer Molina a little bit too as well. He's someone I would definitely consider. I know we got him at 15% ownership right now. So yeah, he's someone I definitely want to consider and have in my stacks. And I know we were just talking about this earlier that people don't view catchers as one-offs. I do sometimes, but I don't know if I think it can still possible chance to win, but I know that's very rare. But any one of those catchers to me are fine. Will Smith for a low ownership play just to go against Alex Wood is someone you can take a chance on too. Sean Murphy. Those are some of the guys that I look at as a catcher, and Buster Posey as well.
Do you happen to have the ownership stuff in front of you right now? Because I'm just curious. I imagine, Grandal is hitting higher in the order and he's cheaper than Mercedes. Mercedes 5.2K on DK, 4.4 on DK as well. For 4.4 for Grandal, Mercedes is 5.2. FanDuel, obviously, you don't have to play a catcher. You can play both if you want to. I guess it's kind of sort of one way to be different. Play two catchers on FanDuel. But I guess what I'm getting at is I assume Mercedes is going to be lower owned on DK. Does that make sense for you?
Yes, he is going to be. As of right now, he's just 3 points lower owned, but still overall going to be probably the second highest owned catcher.
First base, I guess you got to start with the White Sox once again. Bruce Ehrenman, most vulnerable guy. Jose Abreu, 5.3K. He seems like one of the absolute, a foundation piece on this slate. If you're playing cash games, you only have one big spend. Probably one of the places to consider as well. Is that kind of sort of where you're at? Also, Andrew Vaughn, first base outfield eligible, too cheap on DK, 2.5K. You can also throw him in the outfield. Thoughts on Abreu or other first basemen that are kind of jumping out for you?
Yeah, though those are the main guys I like. And like what I think we were talking about before too. Sonny Gray, since he's going to be pitching, and I really don't think he's going to have that great of a outing, honestly. So I kind of like getting some of these Washington bats a little bit. So like Josh Bell, someone I know who hasn't been, who's been hitting a little bit better. I know it's only 7 innings. I like taking a little bit of a GPP tournament play on him and stacks, definitely for sure. And then obviously Matt Carpenter, like I said, St. Louis in general, but they're coming in as like the second highest on stack, I believe, right now, probably behind Chicago. So they're someone I definitely love for sure. And I know since Flexen isn't good, and I know People are probably a little bit afraid to play Texas a little bit, but Nate Lau or Nate Lowe, how he pronounced his name, he is someone I definitely think you should be interested in playing, and would be a great in a stack for sure. That whole game is what I get projected the third highest, I think, on the slate today. So I know that doesn't really matter, but Flex is not that great of a pitcher. And to me, as a righty versus lefty, I think he'll be able to maybe hit a home run or two.
Yeah, I like a little mini Texas stack with Lowe and, Joey Gallo. Garcia has been awesome this year. Calhoun leading off, decent chance at 5 ABs. It's probably one way to be a little bit different in this slate, and who's afraid of Chris Flexen like you're talking about. And it's Cheese is good. Dave Potts, he wrote a 2-time millionaire winner. He wrote a whole blurb about how excited he was of playing Matt Carpenter today. And then they swapped out pitchers, but I think most of it still applies. Like, it's not like you're running away from Plantier, but he was talking about the guy who was facing, and I think he's only struck out like 3 hitters and 40 at bats versus lefties this year. And Carpenter, we're not even sure if he's in the lineup, and he's probably dusty, but like, he can still hit the ball hard. When he makes contact against, and Duplantier, again, not a big prospect in the Arizona system. Had some injuries. Velocity has been down over the last few years.
It could be a good right spot for Carpenter. He's got to be positive. Think about it that way.
Yeah, and I'm probably going to play some too, and he's multi-position eligibility as well, available at second base also. Goldie, you can roster him also, and St. Louis is one of the bigger team totals on the board, I believe, but Chicago is the highest at 5 and change. And you mentioned Bell, and like, I just have a hard time clicking on dudes that are going to play, 7 innings and possibly only 6 for Bell. Of course, if he homers in the first inning, who cares? But again, that's sort of the tournament mentality. I have a hard time. Still have a hard time doing it. And I'm probably not playing. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, I think about it this way, because it was about a couple weeks ago where we saw Washington put up how many runs before the 7th inning? I want to say it was like 14 or something like that. So this offense is definitely more than capable of doing it. So to me, it's just a shot to take in and see what happens.
Yeah, and you also kind of lose that chance. Like, sometimes you see like Williams Studio or somebody of the ilk throwing baseballs in the 9th inning, just going to eat up innings. And I don't really know if you see that. Like, if it's 17-3 in the 6th, are they going to roll out somebody? I'm not really sure how that works. I don't know if we're going to check in and see what Tony Russo has to say about that. Does that comply with the rules of the game? I have no idea. But I was going to say, I'm not going to roster Mancini, but it's just cool seeing him doing well. Like, good for him, bouncing back from cancer.
Yes, it is.
Second base, keystone position. What do you have for me?
Second base, I do like Sloke. I like him a lot, definitely, for sure. Like I said, part of that Texas mini stack we're talking about, for sure. And Nick Margot, anyone pretty much in Chicago, you could play pretty much. I don't mind anybody at all. And one Max Muncy too. I know it's a lefty on lefty, but Wood has been a little bit has been better, but I still think you can take some chances with these Dodgers bats, and he can have a chance for have a chance to knock 1 or 2 out the park here in this slate. And this way to get different. That's why I try to think. I try to think of ways where you can get different. And second base it's not as strong as other positions, but there's some guys here I think you can target and will be all right. Ty France, another one too, I like a lot, and especially going against Allen.
Yeah, 2.9 on DK is pretty cheap. If you need to save even more than that, Mauricio Dubon, not officially in the lineup, but he's 2.2K, and he's got a stick and he's got actual wheels. If he gets on base, he'll be facing Uceta, possibly David Price, and a slew of dudes in that bullpen there for the Dodgers. I think the chalk is going to be the cash game play. It's not a very strong position at second. It's probably Madrigal leading off, for a team with the highest total on the board. He's not necessarily great in his zone, but decent shot, those 5 at bats. And we did talk about Carpenter kind of sort of jokingly, but yeah, 2.8K, assuming he cracks that lineup. And Edman, again, we don't have the St. Louis lineup just yet. We're assuming he's going to lead off. At least our projections say he's going to lead off today on the road, potentially 5 AB. Sort of expensive on DK at 4.8, but I don't mind that at all. I think he's got a more appealing price on FanDuel, if I remember correctly. Give me third base, hot corner.
Eduardo Escobar. Someone I think you have to definitely target for sure today. Someone I definitely like is going to be low owned too. So, and we know Martinez is Yeah, he's not that great of a pitcher like he once was in the past. So I think he's someone to definitely look at for sure. And I think honestly, I didn't speak about this before because I was worried about the other stacks, but Arizona is a great tournament play. I don't think they're not going to be owned as much as they should probably be owned. So I like into Arizona a decent amount of tournaments today as a whole. Moncada is an excellent, phenomenal play. Just as was before, and we mentioned with the Dodger bats too. Justin Turner, who's someone who's going to probably be one of the higher owned one-offs bats I can see him being. So he's someone I definitely don't mind playing for sure. Kyle Seager, another great play against Allard in that Seattle stack or even a one-off. Those are some of the plays I would have, and if you could possibly try to even get maybe like Suarez too. I think I talked about this pre-show. Just because Strasburg has not been that great. So to me, like I only have a few Cincinnati bats, but it's enough for like a mini stack. So I like targeting them and having them as a mini stack and just seeing how they do on today, especially with Strasburg since he hasn't been himself as late and still coming off in still working his way back from an injury.
I did a double take looking at Carlos Martinez as far as his strike rate this year is 12.1%.
Yep.
Like that's just atrocious, man. This guy used to be like, and I think his career is somewhere around 22, whatever. I can't remember the number it was, but I always thought it would be higher. Everybody thought it'd be better. And man, 12%. And it's not like his swinging strike rate 7.7%. That doesn't suggest that there's more Ks on layaway coming. It's just not good. His one skill is ground balls. He can still get ground balls. So good for him. But yeah, it's really, really disappointing. Did want to mention, I'm curious. I always wonder somebody's BBP take. Just thought it was interesting. General rules, people are afraid to play left on left. And you mentioned Muncy before. Obviously, you get the bullpen, and many times you get the arm on the other side. In 8 at-bats, Kyle Seager has faced Colby Allard 8 times, 4 hits, left on left. He does have 2 homers for some. Like, just interesting. I don't know. Left on left, I just thought it was worth noting. I'm not a big BBP guy, and I'm more like exit velocity of certain pitchers, and it's kind of interesting as well. And you got to presume that the ball was hit hard there. But do you have a general BBP thought, or you don't care, or what?
To me, it doesn't matter. I'm just being honest. I think that I just feel like if you're a good hitter, you're a good hitter regardless. You're gonna hit the ball whether it's a lefty on lefty or the opposite, righty on righty. To me, that stuff. I understand the statistics show otherwise a lot of the times, but to me, if like I said, if you're an elite, and especially if you're an elite hitter, then it doesn't matter. All that stuff to me goes out the window because you're just going to hit the ball. Especially if it's a good ball, you can see it well and make contact.
All right. What do you have for us as far as shortstop? Knocking out shortstop in a second, then outfield, of course, and then we'll talk about some of our favorite stacks. We're going to bring Devin on, who's going to be asking the questions on behalf of the chat. What up, chat? Do like, subscribe, turn on notifications, fire off some questions, overarching Slate questions. This guy or that guy, we're willing to answer those as well, too. Do specify what site, if it's for tournament, if it's for cash, large tournament, small tournament, just general, approaches. Is this a good approach? Is that a bad approach? You want to ask Andre good tournament questions because he's had a lot of success. Shortstops, what do you have for me?
One person I do like targeting who's going to be low owned, probably hardly any owned, is Isaiah Isaiah Kenner Felifa, I believe that's how you pronounce his last name. He's someone I think is interesting to look at for sure. Especially as a tournament play, 1% owned. And I think he is flexing. We're not scared of flexing at all. Trey Turner, like I said, I don't mind playing Washington bats, so I definitely don't mind looking at for rostering him, and he's going to be a little bit higher on. And one play, and obviously you get to Tommy Edman, who we talked about with the St. Louis bats before. It's going to be the highest one in that position, probably a great cash game play. Rojas is going to be, to me, a phenomenal tournament play as part of Arizona stacks, who I love a lot. And then one other play that I really, really am looking at possibly is what's his name? Sorry, Freddie Galvis. I know he's going against Dylan Cease, but he's been hitting the ball a little bit. I mean, I think he has a chance to, break his little to a 2-game streak of not really having a hit. But I think he has had a good season overall so far. So he's someone I will look at as a possible GPP tournament play one-off, just to maybe hit a homer.
Kiner Falefa made the conversion from catcher to shortstop, which is something you just don't see. That's really, really weird. But I guess he's there every day. Like, is that his main position? I'm not certain, but I'm pretty sure it's shortstop, maybe sometimes third as well. But that's just something you don't see in the game anymore these days. Knock out some outfielders for us, and then we'll go to stacks. Who's popping for you as far as outfield?
Kettle Marte, someone I like a lot. Like I said, Arizona. I think Steve, now I'm getting this feeling about Arizona. They might be one of my higher owned stacks, if not the highest. But Kettle Marte for sure. With going against Martinez, he's someone that's going to be low owned. I like to try to look for players like that. Mookie Betts, we already know what he does, especially going against Alex Wood. I like that. Two as a possible one-off, or even with the low-owned Dodger stacks, who I don't think many are going to really play a lot of him for sure. And obviously you got Dylan Carson, who we got tagged by Cheese, and Carson, a couple other good guys here at RG. Going against Dupletier, I believe that's how you pronounce his name before.
Duplantier. I just learned the name a few minutes ago. I don't know.
But yes, he with him with St. Louis and having that, I think he's someone you can definitely target for sure. We've talked about Garcia before too, Texas and flexing. He's someone I think he should be higher on than what he is right now. Personally, I like getting to him a lot. And obviously Andrew Vaughn, we talk about him being so cheap, super cheap, 2.5K. Price doesn't really matter, but against Zimmerman, he has to be in every one of your lineups. To me, when you have a Chicago White Sox, he just has to be that foundation piece for sure, in my opinion. And then another player that I like that's a little bit off the board is Kyle Schwarber. Like I said, for the Washington stacks, someone I know who can hit the ball really well. And going against Sonny Gray, I don't think the matchup is too scary for him, honestly. So, and the quality and the contact is going to be high there for him, I think, and potential.
Yeah, so Chicago, a couple notes here. Chicago is going to be popular, of course, but it is interesting. Their last four hitters are all outfield eligible, and they're all super cheap. Now, none of them are like, well, Vaughn's got the upside of power. Hamilton, if he hits a ball in the gap, it's a triple. Sometimes you don't want that triple. You want the single and the two stolen bases. Larry Garcia is also super cheap, and then Mendick, again, not exactly somebody you're thrilled with the roster, but they're there, and that's a way to like have the chalk team, but be a little bit different. You want to do some wraparound stuff as well. And as you were talking, the Diamondbacks lineup it came out pretty standard, kind of what we expected. Rojas, Marte, Escobar, Peralta, Smith, Reddick, Ahmed, Vogt is the catcher. There you go. There you have it. Give me a couple stacks before we bring Devin on. Questions in the chat.
So stacks I'm going to be targeting today. I think Arizona's going to be probably one of the main stacks I look at today. Obviously, Chicago White Sox, we know they're going to be probably the highest on stack, so they're going to definitely be someone to play for me for sure. I like going with a little mini stack of Cincinnati just to go against Steven Strasburg, like a 4-man, maybe even 3, just to see what can happen. And then also I do like getting to some Texas bats a little bit in the slate, as well as Seattle. So that both sides of that game is something I'm definitely interested in for sure. And Washington. That's pretty much it after that, because Washington, we know that if we know it's a 7-game ending, I know that's going to probably scare some people off, but I know what Washington can do in just 1 inning alone, and 2 innings alone, and put up a lot of runs. So there's someone I definitely love getting to the tournament.
Hey, what about if you're making a Washington stack? Would you maybe not make it a 5-man and maybe make it a 3-man or possibly a 4-man because of the lack of innings?
Yeah, I don't mind doing that. I definitely don't mind doing that for sure. I tend to play a lot of 5-mans on DK and 4-mans on FanDuel. But I do also play like 4-3 stacks on DK. But I try to definitely stick to the 5-man. But so even having them as my secondary stack, I don't mind getting some a lot, and that's a scenario either.
All right, let's bring in producer Devin. Devin, I guess I'm a little bit rusty because normally we try to leave like 15 minutes questions from the chat, and I didn't time this one. Somehow
cutting it a little close. Yeah.
Somehow I'm this terrible. Well, we sidetracked a couple times, but yeah, it's we got 10 minutes.
Who'd have shocked? Who'd have been what a shocker. Dean's a little hungover after his vacation.
I was watching The Sound of Music so many times, and I'm prepping for Big Brain is what's happening.
Oh man, I wanted to let you guys know Suarez. Andre, you said you liked him. We got a double-digit at-bat BVP alert. He's. I think he's got over 200 ISO, over 350 WOBA. Looking pretty good. Looking pretty good.
Oh. Wait, hold on a second. He's 3 for 15 with the homer. Eugenio Suarez talking about versus Strasburg?
Yeah, I thought I had the numbers up a minute ago.
Yeah, I mean, nothing really. I mean, 1 extra base hit and 15 at bats.
I've got different. It says 11 at bats on my side. Weird. Oh well.
Who are you looking at?
I'm looking at Eugenio Suarez. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know what to tell you.
Well, yeah.
Well, I guess we just have to ignore the BVP today then.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Unfortunately.
Yes.
Well, let's get started with some questions. We'll just hop back between the two of you. That sound good?
Yes.
Yeah, and if it's like a tournament question or whatever strategy question, just go to Andre. And
You don't think you want that one, Dean? You don't want the tournament
Well,
question?
I mean, I'm happy to entertain it, but I just think Andre's better off answering it.
Fair enough. All right, well, let's start with this one. I think you guys already touched on Ohtani for Eric, so we can skip that one. Matt asks if we think the White Sox games happens or if we should fade it, saying that Washington hurt and cashed last night. I think that you guys were some other people in chat were saying that it seems like it might be kind of a little grim prospect there.
I mean,
So-
from what?
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, what? No, sorry. I was just gonna say I was looking at Ruff's tweet. I think he was saying that it's gonna start dry, maybe, and then get rain, but it's not gonna be too bad. So I would still probably play it. I don't see why not. And just from what the MLB did last night, I don't see why they wouldn't get this game in.
Yeah. Well, as always, weather can change on a moment's notice, so keep an eye out. Let's see, Arizona Stack. I think we touched on that one plenty with Andre, right?
Yes, I love them.
What about Kobe Allard? You got any of him in tournaments, Andre?
No.
No. All right. This one's for Dean specifically, friend of the show, Jason. Family Matters or Step by Step?
Oh, come on, Dean. You gotta get this one right.
I watched them both, but I had better memories of Family Matters. Yeah.
Yes.
That's
the right choice, Dean. It's the right choice.
Congratulations.
I'm trying to picture the family of Step by Step, and I don't even know what they look like. I remember watching the show. I vaguely remember the theme song.
I remember the theme song. A little
I've
bit.
never
That's
heard of
about
it. I had to Google
Step
it.
by step, day by day.
Day by day. Yeah.
But I can't picture one cast member in my head for some reason. That's so strange. But I know I watched it. But I guess I blocked it all out. I don't know. But Family Matters, like, Carl and Urkel, Stefan. Come on. I got a buddy of mine who played basketball with him. Like, apparently he's actually a decent. He said he was a ball hog in real life.
Huh.
He played some pickup ball with Urkel.
Oh
Well, I
my
guess
gosh.
he probably doesn't like. You shouldn't say Urkel because he probably hates that. But
That's a story, I'm sure.
I don't know if he's watching or not. But go ahead.
Let's see. Brian wants to know, do you think people will be avoiding the White Sox games because of weather risk? Is it smart to go there because most people won't in tournaments? I think you mentioned you were probably going to go for it anyway, right, Andre?
Yeah, I don't think I wouldn't be unless what does he have? What does Ruff have it at right now?
Looks like yellow orange still.
Yellow orange, just a few showers earlier. It's gonna be said mostly dry. I think that I think it's still fine. I don't think the risk is. I think you can still risk it. I think it'll still be fine regardless because there's also a bad pitcher. So the White Sox to knock this out, get this game done early and over with, and hit like 6 home runs and be fine.
Nice.
Patrick Duffy was the father on Step by Step. I just Googled him, like, yes, now I remember. I'm like, it's coming back to me now.
That's so funny. It's just that thing that you just can't get out of your head.
Yeah, I think he's like a daytime, like a soap guy. Whatever. Go. That doesn't matter. Go ahead.
Friend of the show, Shannon, was saying that they read that the roof will be open in the desert tonight. So,
ooh.
Let's see. Matt wants to know GPP question. This is sort of a broad tournament question. For smaller slates like this, do you not complete the 5-man stack as much and go more 4 or 3-man stacks? I know, Andre, you said you still do 5-man and 4-man on FanDuel too, right?
Yeah, I definitely do. I play, and I've been playing more on DraftKings, so I've still been playing a lot of 5-man still, and it's getting different by playing like the back end of lineups because I know a lot of people do not like to play the back end of lineups. So that's why I find my leverage and I don't mind playing different weird teams and weird players from them as long as I know they, like I said, they can hit well and have a good matchup and the stats look good with them. I'll play them.
Cardinals lineup is out. Edman, Carlson, Goldie, Arenado, Molina, O'Neill, Sosa, Williams, Martinez.
Nice. Eric wanted to know about our thoughts for DK tournament on C-Mart. I think, Dean, you said, quote, "It's not happening."
No, I can't. No, I mean, there's just no case. Like we've been waiting for it for years, and it's progressively getting worse. Yeah, I'm not playing Carlos Martinez.
Andre, how many tournaments would you have to do before you played Carlos Martinez?
Tournament lineups?
Yeah, how many would you have to do before you make one with Carmart?
At least 300.
All right, well, that's your answer there, Eric.
You and a significant other. Yeah.
Stan wants to know thoughts on a San Fran stack. Do you have any of them, Andre?
I'm gonna probably get to a little bit of them because I just now we got news that David Price will be open, like you were saying before, Dean. So he's someone so San Francisco, I definitely like having a little bit of them in tournaments.
Johnny in chat, for single entry, do you fade the top owned stack as a rule, or just try to get different with one-offs or pitching?
I would try to just get different with your one-offs, or just play different angles of the popular stack, because it's going to be impossible for everyone to play everybody. Yeah. So like I said, targeting the back end of the stack tends to be the lesser owned. So I would tend to play something like that more, and go from there.
All right, Eric wants to know DK tournament, Winker or Haniger as the last piece.
I mean, for me, I'd rather play Haniger, but for tournaments, like nobody's playing Winker.
Yeah,
nobody.
Winker. Yeah, and I like Winker in the matchup, honestly. So I would say Winker.
Little sneaky flirter. So friend of the show, Flores, wanted to ask if we could get a few minutes of NBA talk. Would love to hear Andre's thoughts. You guys want to maybe spend the last few minutes getting your thoughts on NBA? Maybe we get like a quick 30 second 1 minute breakdown.
Yeah.
If you have thoughts.
Yeah.
I don't want to put you in the spotlight here.
No, I'm fine with it because I'm gonna play tonight, and I've been so close every night to taking it down on DK. It's been making me mad. But I to me it's all about game stacks. Pick your favorite game, target people from them a lot. This is, to me, especially in the first round, 3 games to knock out. I love I obviously the Portland Denver game is gonna be the highest scoring game on the slate, but I do love targeting a lot of the plays from the clip from the Lakers Phoenix game. So I like definitely going like a Dennis Schroeder. Like I said earlier before in the show, he's someone I think is going to be low owned and not high owned enough. And because you got other options like Drew Holiday, Chris Paul, who still is under his cheap, and I think people are going to be afraid of him coming up with the injury. So those are the plays I would like to get at for sure, and make sure role points do matter for sure. So to me, the top play on the slate probably would be Giannis, and then followed by Jokic. But then the tournament plays play Anthony Davis and play LeBron. Those two have a lot of upside. They're cheaper than them for sure. And don't be surprised Jimmy Butler has a triple double tonight and bring the Heat one closer to taking down this Milwaukee Bucks team.
How do you like that, Dean?
Out? Yeah, I mean, I hope so. I'm rooting for Miami. Obviously, I'm trying to be realistic. I think Milwaukee's going to get us this year.
No, they're not. I'm not giving up.
Well, I'm not giving up, but you play the games. But I mean, yeah. So yeah, I agree that Butler's going to bounce back as well. You mentioned Giannis, and in a vacuum, like I know different positions depending on where you're shopping and all that. Similar price, Giannis versus Jokic. You prefer Giannis?
I mean, role points matter. I mean, Jokic has had he's had 50-point games, but Giannis has just been a monster and got 60 points, is 59, so 60-point fantasy points so far. I think though this is going to be a down game for Giannis personally, so I would probably lean more towards Jokic, but I wouldn't be surprised if Giannis still ends up scoring like 60 fantasy points on the slate. But I really think, honestly, I like paying more so for Davis and LeBron and Lillard, Butler. That range a lot more because those are stars that we haven't seen. We start to just see their upside, but they haven't gotten there yet, besides Davis in the last game.
You mentioned Chris Paul. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, and he's still going to be low on Davis.
You mentioned Chris Paul. I'm like, I don't know if DK, you really have to worry about him so much, but he's got 7-4 in DK, but he's 7-4 in FanDuel. And the positionality, kind of the way that works, you're sort of forced into playing. I don't say forced into, but he's popping as one of the best point guard plays. And on FanDuel, on DK, whatever.
I feel you slipping into your breakdown, Dean, but we unfortunately are at the end of our time slot here.
Oh, well, it's your fault for bringing up basketball. Did we miss anything else? Is any questions?
No, actually, we got a 2v2 for Darren. We'll fit this one in real quick. Mercedes, Wood, or Grandal, Ohtani?
Ooh, I'm gonna say Grandal, Ohtani.
All
That's
right.
where I'm at as well.
Dean, take us home.
All right. Is a Tuttle with us coming up next? Tuttle and Cardi, is that correct?
I believe it is Cardi and Justin, a.k.a. STO Cardinals 84,
There you go.
a.k.a. the human computer.
Yeah, so we haven't really plugged RG Premium. If you guys want to get RG Premium, you want to have access to such things as Crunch Time or Devin. He's been showing off a lot of our premium tools throughout the show. You can get yourself $10 off the first month. You can get that a la carte, just one sport, or you can get all the sports $10 off either way. Before you guys get out of here, obviously hit the like button, do subscribe, turn on notifications, keeps the proverbial lights on, and stay tuned for Crunch Time. You can get the most up-to-date update from Kevin Roth, Chief Meteorologist, telling you what's going on there in Chicago. I can't really tell you what's going on. I'm just going to wait until we see what Roth has to say. As of right now, I'm assuming it's a full go. That said, we got to step aside and get out of here and make way for Crunch Time. For Andre, for Devin, I was Dean. This was baseball and some basketball and some old school TV and a really old movie. We're out of here. Holler.